1 out of 5 or none out of 5? Are any of these months' sus cosplay units worth your gems? Are any of these months' variety scouts worth your gems? Or are you better off skipping each one? In this video, we find out what one copy of getting any of these sync pairs can do. So with that said, strap on your seatbelts, sit tight, let's begin this analysis video. Here we go. Yo, this is Saul, also known as SPL Gum, also known as Spatial Gum, also known as Grunt, your Team Skull Grunt, and this is Pokemon Masters EX, guys. First of all, thank you for all the love and support in my gem count video. Thank you for subbing. And these videos take a while to do, so I would appreciate it if you would hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know, because they really help out with the YouTube algorithm. And I'm trying to fix my life, and yeah, the schedule of my life has been pretty messed up recently, and I'm trying my best to sneak everything in a very tight time span. So help me out, guys, help me out. And this video is going to discuss what one copy of these sync pairs can do. Whether you're better off scouting one copy or just skipping them completely. If you're getting 2 copies, 3 copies, 4 copies, 5 copies, well, you can check out my April 2023 sync pairs who to scout for video instead, as I discuss their full kit. But for this one, just 1 copy for now. Doesn't matter if in the future you'll give candies, but what can 1 copy do? So before we begin, I would like to give a huge shout out to all the members of my channel. Thank you to these awesome people for your support. If you want your name to pop out here as well, you can support a good cause by becoming a member of my channel. I'm not sure where the join button is, but it's below either there or here. So you can become a member of my channel for as low as $1 a month, and you'll know that it's going to a good cause. You're supporting me make these videos and stuff. Or if you do not have, financial means to do that, you can just become active and become one of the receivers of my lucky memberships by these awesome people. Thank you to my awesome gifters for your kindness and generosity. Really appreciate the extra support. But with that said, guys, let's begin with the timeline of events or timeline of sync pair scouts that are coming. So we begin with cosplay Steven and cosplay Shawna, who are coming 2 days apart. They both end on May 1. Steven comes out tomorrow. Shawna comes out April 2. And then after like a week or 2 weeks, we have cosplay Zinnia. First out of Zinnia, also first out of Shawna as well. And then followed by 2 days after that, Rocket Lyra or cosplay Lyra. And also they end on May 1, just like the other 2. Then we have some sus variety scouts. We have Lorelei coming out on April 20 and Bruno coming out on April 22, which let me hide myself so you can see it clearly, guys. They both end on May, well, my mistake with the date, but I think they both end on the same day. I will check right now. So it's a little bit too late for me to change that, but let me see when they will end. I will be checking that. Where the heck is my list? Give me a sec. Give me 1 minute or a little bit less than 1 minute as I check, because I don't want to pause this right now. Okay, content and banner scout day. Thank you, by the way, to Absol-utely for all the data mining work. Let's see, variety scout. They both end on the 14th, guys. 14, or rather 13. May 13 and May 13. That's the last day you'll be able to scout for Lorelei and Bruno. May 13. So, what can we take away here? Everyone is a limited unit, first of all. Everyone is a limited unit, This one and this one, Bruno and Lorelei. The bad thing is they do not have 6-star EX colors, but they have a 6-star EX style or a 6-star EX pose. So if you decide to make them 6-star EX, their colors remain the same, but their pose gets a little different. So if you want to 6-star EX them, they will be available to 6-star EX. They are support sync pairs. Shawna and Lyra are support sync pairs. So in this update, we have 4 limited supports. Supports, one of the best things to 6-star EX, because every single time you sync for the first time in a battle with a 6-star EX support, you get a double sync buff. Meanwhile, Steven and Zinnia are tech units, and by 6-star EXing them by using a sync move, your sync move gets powered up by 1.5 times, meaning you'll hit harder for the opponent. And that's that. You'll only hit one opponent. Unlike strikers, if you 6-star EX them, they will be able to hit every single opponent if you use a sync move. So that's the difference. You got 2 strikers, or you got 2 tech sync pairs, Steven and Zinnia. You got 4 supports, Shawna, Lyra, Lorelei, and Bruno. Alright guys, now let's talk about their kit right now. Let's begin with Steven. Steven, if you see this background image, congratulate yourselves. You have successfully scouted Steven and Stoutland, or Shiny Stoutland, and this one is a normal type sync pair. He has tackle, and he has a buddy move, Lyra. What this does is you can use this 3 times and it hits everyone. This will be unlocked when you have successfully given an opponent a rebuff. And how do you give an opponent any rebuff? Not just from Steven, but also for other sync pairs. If you have other sync pairs that can lower the opponent's rebuff, that is also works. And this rebuff is interesting because this is quite an interesting one. Attack the opponent with tackle, and you give the opponent the rebuff type of its weakness. Now, if the opponent is weak to steel, you give the opponent a steel type rebuff. If the opponent is weak to psychic, you give the opponent a psychic type rebuff. If the opponent is weak to dragon, you have a dragon type rebuff, which I'm not sure if we have dragon type rebuffs in the game right now. Whatever type we did not have yet, the opponent will get a rebuff of that type because of his passive skill, rebuff reducing hit. Now, if the opponent has a rebuff, Lyra will activate, and what this does, every single time you use this, you lower the opponent's attack, defense, and speed -2. You can reuse this 3 times, meaning the opponent's attack will go down to -6, defense will go down to -6, and speed will go down to -6 if you use this 3 times, guys. He also has Super Effective Plus, which will give anyone in your team, depending on who you use this on, a Super Effective up next. You will do not give this to Steven because he is a normal type and opponents do not have normal type weaknesses. His attacks do not change to some other types. He just remains as normal type. And then he has Mystery Solve. It raises an ally speed. You can use this on a single target. An ally speed by 2, and gives an ally physical moves up next +3. Interesting. Okay. Actually, guys, this is my first time looking at this kit. So what this basically does is it is more of a support sync pair that can give opponents type rebuffs. You have Super Effective Plus to power up any sync pair in your team. You have Mystery Solve to give anyone in your team a physical moves up next effect. 1 stacked rank or stack of physical moves up next effect increases your damage by 40%. Physical damage by 40%. This does not apply to sync moves, but this applies to your buddy moves. I'm not sure max moves. I don't think max moves are included, but this applies to your physical moves. So 3 stat ranks or stacks of physical moves up next effect powers up your attack by 120%. Give an ally 6 stacks by using 2 mystery solves, and you power up your ally by 240%. Strong. Interesting. Okay. And then illuminating normal impact, what this does is the more the opponent's defense is lowered, the stronger your sync move is gonna be. And how do you use this? Because of B-Leer, whenever you attack the opponent, or rather, when you use B-Leer, your opponent's defense stat will lower down -2. You can use this 3 times again, and the opponent's defense can lower down to minimum -6 unless the opponent decides to increase their defense stats. Now, he has 2 other passive skills. You have Team Immunizing Command, which gives everyone a status, or rather a condition nullification effect, so that you will not be trapped, confused, or flinch whenever the opponent gets irritating. So this effect will only trigger once per battle, and you can use this, or you can activate this by using Super Effective Plus or Super Effective Up, or by using Mystery Solve. And then he has another passive skill called Team Easy Target Speed up 9 when the opponent has a no evasion effect applied, which this will happen, by the way, if you use B-Leer. All the opponents will have a no evasion effect. So this is basically whatchamacallit, I forgot what, telekinesis. So the opponents, if they have evasiveness +6, your accuracy is -6. If you use B-Leer, the opponents will never be able to avoid your attacks. So when you attack an opponent with no evasion effects, everyone's speed stat will increase by 1 if you use tackle on the opponent. I'm not sure if B-Leer will also raise everyone's speed stat, but that's about it, guys. That is Steven, a very interesting tech sync pair who works as a support sync pair as well because of Super Effective Up, and Mystery Solve can get everyone powered up. I think Super Effective Up is 150% or 1.5 times damage, and Mystery Solve, every single stack will raise your damage, physical attack damage, by 40%. By using 1 Mystery Solve, that's 120% damage increase. By using 2, it's a 240% increase in damage. Plus, attack the opponent. You can attack per opponent, guys. This one, per opponent. You give them rebuff per opponent, but only once per opponent. So, you get everyone a rebuff of their weakness type, making Steven a pretty interesting and quite an effective tech support in your team. So, at 1 copy, his sync grid has Sand Shelter. And that's about it. If there's a sandstorm, you will not receive damage. Sad. The other interesting parts of his kit are at 2 copies, 3 copies, but at 1 copy, you only get protection against sand whenever you move when there's a sandstorm. Let's move on. Cosplay Shawna and Klefki. This one is a support sync pair. If you see this Mindscape image, congratulations, you have successfully scouted for her. And this one is interesting. She has Tackle, normal type, weak damaging attack. She has Mirror Shot, 30% chance of lowering the opponent's accuracy stat. You have Potion, and you have, I think I've got it. And this one is a trainer move that gives you a status move defense. Status move defense. Status moves, I think, are like Will-O-Wisp, Hypnosis, something like that. If I'm not mistaken, guys. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. And then it also gives you a stat reduction defense effect. So the opponent will not be able to lower your attack, defense, special defense, speed, accuracy, evasiveness, whatsoever. And then it raises everyone's critical hit rate by 2. So you can use this twice, and you can maximize everyone's critical hit rate. You can give yourself these defensive shields twice. You have a Piece It Together Steel Beam, which is pretty ordinary like usual, and inspired sync moves. And the most interesting thing about her is her passive skills. Because her team stat steal, every single time you attack an opponent, you lower one random stat of the opponent, whether it's attack, defense, special defense, or speed. And then it raises everyone in your team's stat by the same amount. This is similar, kind of, to cosplay Diantha. Cosplay Diantha has something like Speed Leech, Mind Leech, and something like that. But this one, you attack the opponent, you debuff a random stat of the opponent, either attack, defense, special defense, or speed, and then you raise your team stats. Every single one of your sync pairs gets that stat raised +1, which is awesome. You have retaliatory stat steal 9 whenever you get hit by an opponent. This time, you lower a random stat of the opponent, whether it's attacks, defense, special defense, or speed. But then you raise your own stat by the same amount. This does not apply to your team this time. It just raises Shawna's stat by that. Whether the opponent's attack stat goes down, your attack stat goes up, something like that. Previous one, team stat steal 9. Every one of your teammates gets buffed up. This one, retaliatory stat steal 9. Only Shawna gets buffed up with this one. But then, that's a debuff for the opponent for team stat steal 9. Also a debuff for the opponent for retaliatory stat steal 9. And then you have full bracing command 9. Every single time you use a trainer move, that's either potion or I think I've got it, your defense and special defense go up +1. So that means by using 2 potions, 2 I think I've got it, you can raise your defense and special defense +4 if your stats have not yet been raised by team stat steal 9 or retaliatory stat steal 9. So this is a very nice debuffer and buffer as well for your team, interestingly. And this one, well, Sync Grid, 1 out of 5, 1 copy, you get Sand Shelter, protects you from damage in a sandstorm. I wonder what the heck is with Sand Shelter. Earlier, we also got Sand Shelter, and then you got Unbending, your defense stat cannot be lowered for Shawna. Ignore the bottom part, we're moving on to the next one. Cosplay Zinnia and SteveO. This one is a tech sync pair. As you might know, again, we have 2 techs and 4 supports. This one is the second tech. We have Crunch, 20% chance of lowering the opponent's defense by 1. We have B9 Slash as a buddy move. This is activated when there is at least one opponent with a dark type rebuff on the opponent's field of play. And how you use this is that you use a trainer move. Whenever you use a trainer move, the first time rather you use a trainer move, every single opponent will get a dark type rebuff. And what does rebuffs do? It lowers or increases the dark type damage you deal towards an opponent. So B9 Slash, you can only use this once, 1 MP. And it never misses. It returns all opponents, or it returns one opponent's raise stats to normal, and then it raises your stats by the same amount. So if the opponent has +6 attack, you steal that, the opponent gets 0 attack stat, your own attack stat gets raised to +6. Except in certain circumstances, which is if the opponent gets vigilance, or if there is a critical shield. Successful hits with this attack become critical hits. And then, the opponent will have a no stat increases effect. And what this does is that the opponent will not be able to raise their stats as long as this shield or this condition is active. So, the opponent, even if they have like Stoic 9 or something that raises their stats, they will not be able to raise their stats if you have the no stat increases effect active, which is after you use B9 Slash on the opponent. Take note that you can only use this once. And for the trainer move, you have X Attack All, which raises everyone's attack stat +2, and Catch Me If You Can. Wait a minute, is this Misty? Because Misty has Catch Me If You Can, or is it Catch Us If You Can? Anyway, It applies the status defense or stat reduction defense effect to the allied field of play, meaning your opponent cannot lower your attack, defense, special defense, speed, accuracy, or evasiveness. Raises your own evasiveness +1, and then raises your own critical hit rate +2. So you can use this twice so that your critical hit rate will be max, your evasiveness will be +2, and then you can set up these status or these reductions, the stat reduction defense to your allied field of play so that the opponent will not be able to reduce your stats. And then in your sync move, there is a multiplier, which is if the higher your stats are raised, the stronger your attacks or your sync move will be. This is a built-in Rising Tide. This is a very good multiplier once you're able to maximize this out. I think that's 18 stat ranks or 21, whatever it is. Once you max this out, you have full multiplier, very strong damage on the opponent. Passive skills, you have Team Rebuff minus or down command Dark. Again, this one, use a trainer move for Zinnia. Everyone in your opponent's team gets a Dark type rebuff. You have Unbuff Foe Freebie 9 if the opponent's stats are at 0 or negative. Every single time you attack an opponent, you will get a free move free move next effect. So this is nicely paired up with Ball Guy, you know, because Ball Guy can lower the opponent's stats to 0 using I forgot what move it is. But once the opponent's no stat increases for the opponent, you attack an opponent using Crunch or B-Night Slash, free move next, free move next, free move next. In fact, just by using B-Night Slash, since B-Night Slash will reduce the opponent's stats to normal to 0, you will get a free move next afterward. So that's Unbuff Foe Freebie 9. And then Vigilance, you have Vigilance so that you will not be hit by critical hits if the opponent attacks you with critical hits. And with her Sync Grid, at 1 copy, you only get Escape Artist, which prevents you from being trapped, and that's about it. The interesting things are locked at 2 out of 5 and 3 out of 5. So let's move on. This is a nice tech sync pair, a very strong dark type tech sync pair. In fact, we got a lot of dark type tech sync pairs, but this one is pretty strong. And just by having her in your team and by using a trainer move, you get to give everyone a dark type rebuff, making your dark type sync pairs stronger. Let's move on to the last of the cosplay units, Cosplay Lyra and F2P. I'll be the decoy. If you see this, congratulate yourselves. You have successfully scouted for Cosplay Lyra or Team Rocket Lyra. You got Mud Slap, a 1 move gauge attack, can lower or lowers the opponent's accuracy -1, and you have Earthquake, which hits every single opponent with 3 move gauges. Check out her physical attack stat. It's 244, not exactly very strong. So don't expect her to deal major damage, but you know, Earthquake is pretty strong, so maybe not too bad damage using Cosplay Lyra. You have Mini Potion All, which restores everyone's HP 20%, and you have Initiate Infiltration, raises the attack stat of all your sync pairs +1, raises everyone's defense +3, and you can use this twice to maximize everyone's defenses, applies the type resistant effect to the user, and then it will reduce the damage of the type of attack that it was affected previously. So this is like Thornton. If you get hit by a grass type attack and you use Initiate Infiltration, the next grass type attack you are hit by will be reduced in damage. I think this does not stack. So if you use Initiate Infiltration again, it will get the last type of attack the opponent has hit you with and overwrite your resistances with that type of attack, guys. So you got a normal ordinary against sync move, which has no additional effect. And you have high HP stat, high defenses, but passive skills, what do we have? Rebuff reducing hit ground. If you use an attack against an opponent, if you use Earthquake, all the opponents will get a ground type rebuff. If you use Mud Slap, per opponent, you can reduce their ground type rebuff -1. And then you have Team Mighty Sync 9. In fact, these sync pairs, all these sync pairs have something to do about rebuff. The rebuff themed update, which is, I'm not sure, are they running out of ideas? Why rebuff, 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 rebuff? Shake my head, guys. Team Mighty Sync 9, when you use your sync move for the very first time, you will have, every single one of your sync pairs will have a physical moves up next effect, 1 stat rank. And what this does again is raise or increase the physical attack of your sync pairs by 40% in damage. And then Team Beef Up 9, whenever you get hit by an attack, it raises everyone's attack stat +1, and you get hit again +1. When you get hit again +1, this is a support sync pair. And yeah, with Mini Potion all, with the interesting 2 trainer move, Initiate Infiltration, you can max out everyone's defenses. Then give everyone a ground type rebuff just by using Earthquake or Mud Slap, which is okay, I guess. So, at 1 out of 5, you get Sand Shelter again. Hiya, Sand Shelter again. No damage from a sandstorm, and then unbending, your defense cannot be lowered. But for example, you have Stignesuit Diantha, who has Team Unbending, much better. Everyone's defenses cannot be lowered with Team Unbending. This one, only Cosplay Lyra's defenses will not be lowered. So, that's about it for all the cosplay units we have. Now we move on to the sussier units, starting off with Lorelei. This is a variety scout. And you know, variety scouts are limited sync pairs, who I do not know why DNA came up with this one, but let's just discuss this. This is Lorelei and Cloister. This has a 6-star EX. If you 6-star EX her, her colors will not change. Her move or her pose will change a little bit, but her colors will not change. You have Icicle Spear, which normally hits the opponent 2 to 5 times, but because of her passive skill, No Quarter, you will always hit the opponent 5 times in a row. And what this does, adding this up with Recharging Strike 4, every single time you hit the opponent 5 times, you have a 50% chance to recover 1 move gauge. And the more times this triggers Recharging Strike 4, you have a 50% times 5 chance of filling your move gauge 5 times. So if this triggers 5 times in a row, then your move gauge will be filled by 5 bars. If you have ally move gauge max -2, that's full move gauge immediately. Icicle Spear's accuracy is not 100%, so you might have to raise the accuracy a little bit, or else you might miss some attacks. Restoring Strike 2, every single time you hit the opponent using Icicle Spear, you have a 30% chance of recovering a little bit of HP, just like Champion Kalem. Champion Kalem has Greninja's Water Shuriken. If you have him 3 out of 5, I think you get guaranteed triple. 30 times 3, I think it's 30% as well. I think it's Restoring Strike 2. Correct me if I'm wrong. Percent chance of restoring HP. This one is 30 times 5% chance of restoring HP, because No Quarter, your Icicle Spear, will always hit 5 times in a row. So every single time you use Icicle Spear, you have a 30 times 5% chance of restoring HP, and every single hit will recover a little bit of HP. Every single bar will be filled with every trigger of Recharging Strike 4, which makes her a pretty good and pretty undying sync pair. Move gauge management issues will not be that... There will be probably no move gauge issues if you use Variety Scout Lorelei. You have Protect, which gives you a damage guard next effect, cuts the damage by half if you get hit by a sync move. or 0 damage if you get hit by a normal attack. You have X Attack All, which raises the attack of all allied sync pairs +2. You have Good Answer, which raises everyone's defense +4 and raises everyone's critical hit rate by 2. You can also give yourself or everyone in your team an Endure effect. Unfortunately, you can only use this once unless you get an MP refresh. But then, critical hit rate +2 for everyone, Endure for everyone, and defense +4 for everyone. Pretty good. So, this one is very interesting at 1 copy, but her stats get even more interesting at, well, at higher move levels, which, why did I not whiten this out? Let me just quickly whiten this out because you should be not active at 1 copy. So 1 copy will not get you very far, but you have Sand Shelter. Again, Sand Shelter. What the heck, Sand Shelter? Everyone loves Sand Shelter. You have Snow Shelter, prevents you from damage from a hailstorm, and Unbending, your defense stat cannot be lowered by the opponent no matter what they do. So that is Lorelei and Cloister. And now we move on to Bruno and Onyx, the other Variety Scout. This is also a support sync pair. And this one has Rock's Throw, 1 move gauge, no additional effect, has Screech, which can lower the opponent's defense stat. This is a support tech hybrid. You have Dire Hit Plus, which raises, or Dire Hit All Plus, correct. Change the thing there, that's Dire Hit All Plus, not Dire Hit Plus. Raises everyone's critical hit rate +2 and always getting stronger. Raises the attack of all allied sync pairs by 2. Raises everyone's defense by 6. Okay, that's a good thing. Because everyone's defense +6 with 1 trainer move, maximum defenses immediately. And gives you a physical moves up next effect, which powers up everyone's physical attacks by 40% damage. You have Overwhelming Power Rock Impact, which boring sync move again. And you have Endurance, which gives you an Endure effect for Bruno. You have Team Swift Reaction. Every single time you get hit by an attack by the opponent, you raise everyone's speed stat. And Sterner Stuff 2 reduces the damage you take from the opponent's physical attacks by 20%. More or less that amount. And with his kit, 1 copy you get always getting stronger MP refresh 2, which again, what this does is that maximize everyone's defense stat with just 1 use of this, but then you can raise everyone's attack stat plus an additional 2 if you get an MP refresh for this one, and also gives everyone a physical moves up next effect. So another 40% increase in damage for your physical attacks. Lithe prevents you from getting paralyzed. Sand Shelter prevents damage from a sandstorm. And Unbending, your defense cannot be lowered. If I were to compare Bruno and Lorelei, I would say Lorelei is much better than Bruno. Although I appreciate that by using Bruno, you can max out the defense stat of everyone immediately. But at 1 copy, Bruno is just boring. As a defensive support, yes, you also receive less damage from Sterner Stuff 2. But that's about it. Not too interesting kit for Bruno. Meanwhile, the others are much more interesting. In fact, by looking at everyone here, let me just try to recall what I remember. Steven, attack an opponent. Everyone, or per opponent, they will get a rebuff of whatever weakness they have. And I need to review Steven's kit, so bear with me as I look back. Steven's kit has Team Immunizing Command 9, gives you a condition nullification effect, and then raises the speed stat if the opponent has a no evasion effect. This has B-Leer, so every single time you attack an opponent using B-Leer, you can use this 3 times. You can lower the opponent's attack, you can lower the opponent's defense, you can lower the opponent's, whatchamacallit, where is it? You can lower the opponent's attack, you can lower the opponent's defense, and you can lower the opponent's speed stat -2. Meanwhile, Shawna is the only one without a rebuff thing. But Shawna is very interesting because Shawna can non-stop give the opponent debuffs, debuff. Just by hitting the opponent, you get to give the opponent a debuff and give all your teammates a buff. Every single time you receive damage from the opponent, you debuff the opponent and give yourself that buff. And every single time you use a trainer move using Shawna, your defense and special defense goes up if it's not yet maxed. So, Shawna, I can see her doing very well in Legendary Gauntlet, especially in opponents that love to buff themselves. You know, Latias right now is a very irritating opponent in the Legendary Gauntlet. Once your buffs, once Latias's buffs reach a certain level, it will be invulnerable. That means 0 damage whenever you attack the opponent. So, Shawna, nice debuffer. Get the opponent stats low. Get your team stats high. That is basically Shawna's kit. Meanwhile, Zinnia, very nice dark type sync pair, which gives everyone a dark type rebuff. Just by using your trainer move, everyone will get a dark type rebuff. But we already have so many good dark types. We have Signasuit Cyrus, and very strong dark type. Unlimited Dark Void, unlimited sleeve for the opponent. So do we need another dark type? We have Signasuit or Cosplay Lyra. This one gives us a ground type rebuff. Ground type sync pairs are very strong already, but I guess the ground type rebuff is appreciated. Let me just check back on her kit again. And this one, basically, you have mini potion all. You have a type resistance effect, so this basically just gets herself a little bit beefier, a little bit tankier, and then gets, you know what, this not really that interesting, honestly, for Cosplay Lyra, aside from the AoE ground type rebuff. Just power up your sync pairs, and that's about it for Cosplay Lyra. Yes, if you love her outfit, then go for her. And then you have Lorelei, which for me is very interesting because your Icicle Spear will always hit 5 times. Every single time you hit the opponent, you have a chance of filling up your move gauge completely. Every single time you hit the opponent, you have a 30 times 5% chance of restoring your HP. Pair her up with a defense buffer, get her defenses to maximum, and she will be an undying sync pair. No, you will not be able to deal so much damage with low sync buffs, but she will be an undying sync pair, and she will last the entire battle just by using Icicle Spear. And don't forget, she has Protect as well. Bruno, for me, nothing that interesting except for instant maximum defenses. But we already have that. We have Aura Cynthia, or Signasuit Aura Cynthia, who can max out everyone's defense and special defense immediately. So probably if you do not have Aura Cynthia, Bruno will be good. But then you also have the Sterner stuff too, which reduces physical damage. Can also buff up everyone's attack stat, but that's about it. So, not too interesting. In fact, who are the interesting sync pairs of this update? The interesting stuff, for me at least, Steven. Give anyone any type of rebuff that they are weak to. Shawna. Debuff the opponent crazily, buff yourself up the same amount. Lorelei, undying sync pair. Every single time you hit an opponent, wait till you get to 2 out of 5. I think you get trip up or something like that. You can also lower the opponent's stats, something like that, with each Icicle Sphere. So personally, those are the only 3 sync pairs that I'm really interested about. The other sync pairs are just unnecessary. Bruno, again, maximum defenses. Lyra, ground type rebuff. Yes, ground type rebuff is, I think, better than the dark type rebuff. And if you want dark type rebuffs, if you have Champion Serena, you can give the opponent a dark type rebuff as well. So, not really that interesting. The interesting thing about cosplay Zinnia is that you get the no stat increase. So, if the opponent is so irritating, you want to deal the... If the opponent has no stat increases multiplier for the sync move, yes, cosplay Zinnia will be very helpful with the B9 slash so that the opponent cannot raise their stats for a certain amount of time. But that aside, nothing very interesting for cosplay Zinnia. Yes, maybe she has one of the highest dark type nukes out there, but that's about it for one copy. If I were to rate these ones, well, in terms of debuffing, in terms of Legendary Gauntlet, my number one is either gonna be Shawna or Lorelei. In terms of Legendary Gauntlet, just because of how undying Lorelei is and how nicely Shawna debuffs the opponent plus buffs your entire team up. In terms of everything, probably Steven will be good because not only you get super effective up next, not only his trainer move does wonders, not only you can give your opponent a rebuff of whatever type. That's actually a big thing. Meanwhile, the others are so-so in my opinion. You do not exactly need them, but if you have them, well, good for you. More teams, more sync pairs in your roster. I do not want to rate them 1 to 6 because it's really hard to do that in terms of this update. I have to study their kit much deeper than that. So let me know your own ranking in the comment section because I need help with the ranking right now. Clear my thoughts. Let me know what you think of these sync pairs. With that said, that is the end. As usual, go for your faves instead of the meta. I know a lot of you actually like cosplay Lyra for her Team Rocket outfit. I saw a lot of posts about that one, so go ahead and scout for her. Power up your ground types. And in fact, if you were to ask me ground type, I want Victor. Victor 5 out of 5. Buy one, get one high horsepower. Every single time you use high horsepower, free move next. Free move next. Free move next. I only have him 3 out of 5. So I'm looking forward to his rerun so that I can get 2 more copies. But you do you. Scout for your faves. Don't follow anything other people say. But that is the end of this video. Check out my how many gems we can get for a list or for a count of how many gems you can have until these sync pairs arrive or until some sync pairs go away. But wait till my April 2023 pairs who to scout for video for a full analysis of this one. You know what, I'm tired. That's the end of my 1 out of 5 or none out of 5 video. I would like to thank you again for watching this. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know because this really helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you want to help out my channel even more, you can become a member of my channel by becoming active and being gifted like these awesome people up there, or become a member by clicking on the join button either here or there or anywhere you see the join button on the screen, like my awesome 2-year members Shadow, Phil, Alcin, Roy, Luca, and Jeremy. Thank you for 2 years of support. Thank you to Sasori, Marcella, and Ewiz for 1 year of support. And thank you to Marokman for Ultra Bolt tier, Aurora Espion and Yuki for Great Bolt tier, Shido Vods for Premier Bolt tier. Thank you Tatsuya Gold, Apsaras, Kundan, Pokefriendo, and Edward for Pokeball tier. You guys are very much appreciated. Thank you so much for your support. And with that said, I'm done. I'm tired. That's it. Hope you enjoyed watching. And with that, I don't want to repeat that anymore. This is Sol, also known as Spiel Gum, also known as Spatial Gum, also known as Grunt, your artist Team Skull Grunt. And I will see you in the next video. Rawr.